Hi, Ricky.
Hey Kai, good to see you and good to see you as well, Nehal.
Hi everyone.
I think we're ready for our first session on business analytics on the blockchain. That should be interesting. We're going to take a little bit of time, I think, to figure out what the blockchain is a little bit first, and then I guess we'll slowly get more and more into business analytics. Is that right, Ricky?
Yes, sounds good. Let's just jump right into things here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is this website called TxStreet.com, which we believe to be a really good analogy to how blockchain actually works. So we're essentially visualizing the Ethereum blockchain on the left and the Bitcoin blockchain on the right as this analogy of train cars, where people performing transactions are going into different cars, either towards the front or towards the back, based on how much they're paying to have their transaction prioritized on the network. So on the left here, you see there's people coming out of these little homes. So these are decentralized autonomous organizations, which are essentially companies that are just running on the blockchain instead of having a traditional business structure. And you can see that when people interact with these protocols, they're coming out of these essentially little homes and getting in line to have their transactions written on the blockchain. And depending on the thing you're doing and the protocol you're interacting with, you might want to have your transaction prioritized faster or slower. So for instance, if you're trading two cryptocurrencies, you actually want to pay a lot of what we call gas to have your transaction prioritized faster, because otherwise, if you don't do that, by the time your trade gets written to the blockchain, the value of the cryptocurrencies that you were trading will have shifted too much.
So you mentioned a couple of important things here. First of all, how much you have to pay to get on the blockchain. So is that the GUI that's on each train card here?
Correct, yes.
So I'm noticing that that's going up as you get closer to the front of the line, right?
So you see there's numbers on these cards. So the number is the number of the block on the blockchain. And as the block gets closer to being the next one up to be written on the blockchain, more people are going to join in on that block. And that's going to drive up the price to have your transaction included in that block. Because there's a lot of transactions, again, that really need to be in the most recent block. So as the block gets closer, it's going to drive up that price.
Okay, so no problem so far. Whatever a GUI is that we don't have to worry too much about here. But it looks like everyone's getting on. It seems like a really happy, go-lucky place. No worries here, right?
Not exactly. You can see that there's a low fee line of transactions that essentially have such a low fee that we're just never going to be prioritized by the miners who are in charge of writing this information to the blockchain, because these users are essentially not paying enough fees, so they're not worth prioritizing.
This is a cool site. So could we focus a little bit on the left here, try and figure out where these specific transactions are coming from?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one very popular blockchain protocol is this one called Uniswap, where you can essentially trade cryptocurrencies on the blockchain. You would refer to this as a decentralized exchange. Everything is happening here on the blockchain. So in order to interact with that service, you can go to their website. And in here, you can essentially just decide on a token to trade. So you could trade one Ethereum, and then it would essentially give you the price of the other token that you want to trade on. And they also have this button here to go to their info website, where you can actually see a lot of cool visualizations and look at the prices of different tokens over time. So one that was really popular recently was this ape coin that has to do with a really popular NFT. And when you come to this page, you basically get price charts, and you get statistics around like the total value locked, the trading volume, the fees that people are paying when swapping this token. And all this data actually lives on the blockchain. So if the Uniswap website wasn't working in any way, shape, or form, you could actually still create a trade. You could still recreate these charts yourself because all of this data is written on the blockchain. And next, we'll essentially walk through how you can retrieve this exact data from a blockchain and essentially recreate a price chart for yourself.
So to me, this is what's exciting about the blockchain and the context of business analytics, right? It's just a ton of data. And you need to figure out a way to make sense of that data. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It's a really good tool to do analytics on because once you do your analysis, there's an extremely small chance that you won't be able to repeat your analysis, let's say 2 to 5 years from now.
Very nice. Is there anywhere we can go and take a look at the data? Can we get access to the data anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can get all of the data we want from a number of blockchains using a really efficient tool that makes it really easy called the graph, which Nihal will talk about.
Sure. So this is what the graph looks like. The graph is a decentralized protocol for indexing and querying data from the blockchain. Indexing blockchain data can be really hard to do. So the graph provides a number of subgraphs using which we can query the data effectively. So here I am interested in my Uniswap subgraph. So I have it open here. So this is what a Uniswap subgraph looks like. Now here, as you can see, I have a playground. So this is the place where we can build our queries in GraphQL language. So GraphQL works in a similar way as of SQL. And this is just a sample query from this schema out here. And we can easily build these queries using another tool called API by Hasura. So here, all we have to do is select a GraphQL endpoint, and then we have the same schema here again. So all you have to do is select a few checkboxes and your query will be ready. So I'll go on to token data, and here maybe I'll select order direction as ascending, then a few fields like date, ID, price USD, then token ID, token name, and symbol also I'll give, value, and I'll simply run this query. So as you can see, we have a list of records over here. The first one, second, a few of them are top bidder. Then further below, we have another token with the name Kai. Then if suppose I want to narrow down my query, I have an option of selecting a where clause also. So maybe I'll select this ID so that I can fetch the data only for this particular token, top bidder. So here in my query, I just have to add a where clause. Here I'll go and select token ID. Now, once I give this, as you can see here, that is inserted. And once I run it, all my records will be for the first token.
And here we get to see how much data there really is, right?
Yes. I can copy the same in GraphQL. And if I run it from here, I'll be able to see my data over here.
Okay, very cool. So we got a sense of what transactions are, where they're coming from, where they're going, and also how to get access to the data. Can we do anything with this data? Just something simple?
Absolutely. We can visualize that data and create a price chart over time. So we're going to take a very simple approach here and use this no-code tool called HAL9, which will essentially allow us to use drag and drop to create the chart we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a block for GraphQL, and I'm just going to stick the query that Nihal came up with in here. And then in here, I'm going to take the endpoint for Uniswap, which we also used before. And then once I do this, we're essentially going to have some data in here. And what I can do next is I can visualize this. So I'll go down to the visualize section. I'm going to choose a line chart. And we can essentially just produce a line chart of the price over time, which is very similar to the charts that we were looking at before on the Uniswap official analytics website.
Okay, so that kicks us off with what we did today on TxStreet and how we fetched the data from the graph. In the next video, we'll continue and show you a few dashboards of what we can do from the graph.
Well, thank you guys. This is fun. Good start, I think. Looking forward to doing more of these. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.